Back with Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler. And before we talk government transition, I want to ask you a question about the Portland Police Bureau. Police Chief Chuck Lavelle resigned, and you replaced him with Bob Day, who was a deputy chief who came back out of retirement in order to take this position on an interim basis. Why did you make that move?
Well, first of all, let's be clear. According to the National Police Chief Association, the average tenure right now for a big city police chief is about 2 to 2.5 years. So it's a little like being a college football coach. Chuck Lavelle and I have been talking for at least a year about the transition, when it would happen, how it would happen, what circumstances would make it most likely to be a successful transition. And ultimately it was his decision. So the timing and the impetus came from Chuck Lavelle. And I want to be clear, he was an outstanding chief. And he and Bob Day are actually close friends. They work well together. Chuck Lavelle actually swore Bob Day in. That's how close their relationship is. Chuck's going to stay on board and help us with a lot of our community engagement. So the time was right. I think it's time for somebody to come in who has a different and fresh perspective given some of the challenges we're currently facing. But most importantly, the timing was right for Chuck Lavelle. This was a very personal decision, and I'm sure he spent a lot of time considering it.
All right, so you weren't dissatisfied with his performance as chief?
Not in any way. I think he was an outstanding chief during the most difficult time in our city's history, and he has nothing but my complete respect.
All right, let's talk about transition. Starting with the November 2024 election, Portland city government will look completely different. We'll go to 12 city commissioners instead of 5, which now includes the mayor. Those 12 commissioners will represent 4 districts, plus the mayor and a city administrator who will oversee the bureaus. So, Mayor, you're in the position of leading a transition that you won't be a part of when it actually happens. So, how much time are you spending on this? And how important is it to you to let the next government be as smooth as it can be?
Yeah, and by the way, this is another reason why it made sense for me to not run for re-election. If I were running for re-election at the same time I'm guiding the transition to a new form of government, it would look completely self-serving and politicized on my part. But the challenges are these. First of all, you have what is in the actual charter language. You have to come up with a ranked choice voting system, which we have done. You have to identify districts through a commission and panel to do that. We have completed that. But there's the other things that aren't as clear. For example, what about the physical space? The council chamber we currently have holds 5. It doesn't hold 13. What about the office space? On the second floor of City Hall, we have 4 offices, not enough for 12 district city commissioners. The mayor and the city administrator are going to work together now. So we need not only space that works for them to collaborate and work together, but we also need to transition the form of government by consolidating all of our bureaus, so having them come away from individual commissioners and then be consolidated under the interim city administrator overseen by the mayor. All of these things have to happen in the next calendar year. So we're well underway, we're working hard, but there's still a lot of work that has to be done so that we can be open for business on January 1st, 2025 under the new form of government. I want to leave as little to chance for the new city council to have to deal with and have us make sure that we have a government up and ready to go and have that transition be completely smooth.
One of the big criticisms of the current commission system was that commissioners were in charge of individual bureaus. A lot of people thought that meant they siloed themselves and tried to do what was right for their individual bureaus instead of the overall view of the city. So do you think having a city administrator or city manager handle the bureaus is a better way to go?
I think it is a huge improvement. And look, the city has changed a lot in recent years. And the issues, the types of issues and the magnitude of the issues we're dealing with are fundamentally different than what other mayors and other city councils have dealt with in the past. And the siloed form of government doesn't work. If you think about public safety issues, right-of-way issues, homelessness issues, permitting issues, economic development issues, they require lots of different bureaus and experts throughout the city's leadership to collaborate and work together. It doesn't happen as often as it should under the commission form of government, But under the new form of government, where you have a city administrator responsible for all of the bureaus, it can be directed that they collaborate, and we're going to make sure that we have the appropriate structure that encourages collaboration.
And that's the way most other major cities operate.
It's not only the way major cities operate, it's the way modern organizations function. And the commission form of government, it's a dinosaur. And we have managed to work around it. I've often had to issue executive directives to get done what I need to get done. And we've never used the commission form of government as an excuse not to act. But I'll be honest with you, it stands in our way as much as it helps us. The new form of government being a modernized, proven structure used in other cities, at least as far as having the city administrator oversee the bureaus, that piece of it I strongly support, and I think it's a huge step in the right direction for Portland, and the service that Portlanders are going to get is going to be improved as a result.
You asked the current commissioners to consider vacating their offices early for the physical renovations needed to make this transition work. You did get some pushback from your commissioners saying they need those spaces right now to get the work done that we have to deal with right now. So what's your solution to this? I mean, what do you think about the pushback from the commissioners who say, well, we're not ready to vacate this early?
Well, I'm still hopeful that we'll reach a compromise. There's been some suggestion in the media that I can just evict everybody and build out the second floor of City Hall for 12 commissioners and be done with it. It's not that simple because my colleagues control the pocketbook for the whole project. So we have to collaborate, we have to work together, we have to reach a compromise. But my view is this: if we want the transition to be completed by January 1st, 2025, and the council already passed a resolution supporting that notion, if we want it done by then, anybody who's renovated anything, a bathroom, a kitchen, we're renovating City Hall. We need at least 12 good months to be able to complete those renovations so that January 1st, 2025, the 12 commissioners will have an office, their staffs will have a place to sit and answer the phones and do their work. The city administrator and the mayor will collaborate, and we'll have a council chamber that can actually hold 12 commissioners so that they can do the city's business. So from my perspective as the mayor's office, we're ready to move out as soon as the facilities people need us to move out in order to keep the costs down and have the project completed. I'm still working with my colleagues on some potential compromises about the second floor. But you're right, there's been some pushback, and I get it. Somebody's going to be inconvenienced. It's either the current city council or it's the new city council. I think the current city council has more experience. They know each other. They know how to work together. I think they're more likely to ride out the inconvenience than a completely new slate of commissioners, many of whom don't even know where the bathrooms are in City Hall.
We got about 30 seconds left, Mayor, but I do want to talk about, we've got the city's first five-star hotel opening up at the end of this month, Ritz Carlton, less than 2 weeks, it should be open. What's your view of the impact that project is going to have on the city?
There's no question. This is one of the major investments, private sector investments in the city of Portland, really in its history. This will be a huge boost to the West End. I would expect it will help with activating the streets. But I also want to acknowledge the folks at Ritz, the local developers. They have really worked hard to make this successful during the worst period of time in terms of public safety issues, homeless issues, livability issues. They have stuck to the vision through thick and thin, and I really want to acknowledge them and thank them for their strong leadership during this time. But I think it's going to be a huge shot in the arm for the city of Portland when it's up, when it's operational, when people are staying there, and it activates the streets. There's going to be a new food cart pod right there.
Right.
So from my perspective, it's only positive.
Mayor Wheeler, thank you very much for joining Eye on Northwest Politics.
Appreciate it.